Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, kids of all ages, and welcome to SVC Sports Weekly. You know, we've kind of lapsed here, and it's been a little while since our last show, but we're back at it. Students are back in the full swing of things. I'm Mike Nosek alongside Dave Gage, and Gage, how you doing besides this atrociously cold weather?
Well, I still got a tan from California, but it's cold outside. Other than that, I'm doing pretty well.
Yeah, we'll touch on that in a little bit here at the end of the show. Basketball, sports, back at it after the break. Of course, we've mentioned this since our last show. The teams got into conference play and not doing ideally well, but they're still fighting hard, still practicing hard, mathematically still in it, so never say never. Women's team beat Leslie University last week, 69-63. And following that game, the men lost in double overtime to Leslie. And just the atmosphere in the gym, even despite it being the break, students weren't here. It was, full energy, and it's just really unfortunate that they came on the losing end of that game.
Yeah, that was a great game. The women played really well, as you said. They got the win. The men, it was a thing that we've said here on the show plenty of times, is they need to get that first one. And that was the opportunity, and it was just like that thing of they didn't know how to win, I guess. And, had their opportunities, but great shot in the first overtime by Tayshawn Johnson. Great play drawn out by the coaching staff. And, Leslie sort of outplayed him in the second overtime, but it was a really good game. Like you said, great atmosphere, even though it was over the break.
Yeah, nail biter. Mountaineers were down by one with, it must have been 4 seconds left to go. They had their set play, they ran it. Ball didn't go in the hoop, however, we grabbed the offensive rebound. Young Tyler Hess got fouled, went to the line for shooting two, down by one, and he missed the first one, and he just looked almost like a ghost, pale, like kind of in his own head, and you just wanted to kind of shake him and say, don't worry about it, focus. And fortunately for him, Leslie called a timeout, gave Tyler an opportunity to collect himself, regain his composure. He went up, knocked down the second shot, tied it up, went into that overtime period. So that was great to see from the youngster there. And then, as you mentioned, Tayshawn Johnson, the buzzer rang. The referees got together, discussed it, realized that the clock should have been stopped after the ball went out of bounds, so the whistle was blown, and then the buzzer rang. So they realized that there should have still been time on the clock. They put 1 second on the clock, which is very fortunate. And tenths of a second can really decide a basketball game. For those who don't know, anything under, I believe it's 0.4 seconds, technically by the laws of physics, people in basketball have determined, I don't know how they did this, that is impossible for you to catch and release the basketball. So it has to be a tip-in if it's under 0.4. They gave him a full second, inbounded it from underneath the hoop, the Mountaineers did. Tayshawn Johnson elevated above everybody else, grabbed the ball, put it right in. Magnificent shot. The place was going absolutely crazy, and you thought they were going to get it, and unfortunately just weren't able to hold on to that second overtime, kind of ran out of gas there.
Yeah, but as you said, it was a great finish to regulation, great finish to the first overtime, and it was unfortunate that they couldn't get the first win that night, even in front of a very good home crowd. It was actually staff and faculty appreciation night, and a lot of professors and other staff members on campus at the game, so it would have been a great W. But did end up falling in that game, and the next game out they played Wheelock College. They were on the road, and I'll let you talk a little bit about that, Mike.
Yeah, the men lost 64-55. Again, closely contested throughout the match. Wheelock just had to have that little bit of an extra edge. And I was thinking about it one night last week, and I guess we've not really discussed how young of a team they are. You look at senior captain Tayshawn Johnson, who is second right now in the NECC. He averages 22.1 points per game, and you think, that's some great leadership. But the rest of the team is still young.
Yeah.
I would say one of the guys with the most experience behind Tayshawn is Travis Severs, who's only a sophomore. Didn't see tons of minutes last year. So now he's trying to come into his own and become that, full-time player, that experienced player, and that will certainly come. It's just a lot to ask for this young group of guys to get there that quickly this season.
Yeah, you talk about the ideal. You ask any coach what the ideal roster is, and it's having a lot of seniors and juniors that can train those freshmen and sophomores. And freshmen and sophomores are coming off the bench and getting good average minutes. And with this team, like you said, Travis is a sophomore. Tavares is a sophomore. And you go on and on, freshman. And besides Tayshawn, it is a very young team. It is to have these close games against good teams. Leslie, they played Newberry tough back in December at home. They played Elms tough, who was on top. They were on top of the conference back at home in December. To only lose by a couple points to those teams shows that this team does have very good potential.
And it's unfortunate that this is Tayshawn's last season. In all likelihood, I think he's only in his third year of eligibility. However, he's a senior credit-wise when it comes to academics. So, in all intents and purposes, this is his last season, and it's a tough way for him to go out. And you'd like to see him be able to reap the fruits of what he's sowing right now. But if this group sticks together and keeps working hard, a year, 2 years down the road, they could be really dangerous.
Yeah, exactly, Mike. I think that happens a lot of times with very good programs. Is a kid plays very well and builds a program, and then he leaves, and all of a sudden the next year they're conference champions. But I think the great thing about Tayshawn is a couple years from now, if this team does succeed like they have the potential to do, Tay will know he was one of the reasons that helped build this program. And I think Coach McDonough will make sure Tayshawn is aware that he is the one who helped build it.
Then the women at Wheelock last week, they lost 58-54, really close one there. Freshman Amber Flagg, a name that has been a usual on this program. 3-player of the weeks thus far for the NECC. She dropped a career-high 28 points, so great night for Amber. Unfortunately, it just wasn't enough. Had she scored 33, they might have won. But that's a lot to ask for a freshman. At 28 is pretty spectacular, especially, she's not that tall, so it's not like she's going up and getting those rebounds and the easy putbacks.
Absolutely. Like you said, that's a tremendous accomplishment. 28 points your freshman year, and those are the tough ones. You have a great game and you lose, and that's when it's tough to swallow, especially in that bus ride back 3 hours. You're sitting there like, yeah, I played great, and we still lost. And it was a tough loss for the team who, we beat Wheelock earlier in the year, and to go there and fall a little bit short, it really had to be tough for them.
Yeah, then later in the week, Newberry College, the women's fell 54-37. Men fell on the short side 85-56. And then I guess we might as well wrap it up all the way through Tuesday. Women were down at Elms, fell 74-45. Men were at Becker, played a strong Becker team, lost 88-51. And they didn't have a full team there, so not the ideal week for the Mountaineers after those Leslie matches. But again, both young teams, aside from Tayshawn, working hard, working well. The women putting up some pretty good numbers. Freshman Kayla McKenzie averaging 9.9 rebounds. That's good enough for third in the conference. Javasia White has seen a lot more time off the bench for Coach Quinn. She's now averaging 8.2 rebounds per game, good enough for fifth. Flagg is at 16.8 points per game. That's good enough for third. So you look at this team of freshmen, and they're starting to crack the conference rankings. The team has 3 conference wins. They can see the playoffs. A couple more and gets them in. So a lot of positives to take away from both these groups.
Definitely, it's going to be a good stretch, like you said. Playoff contention is there, and that's what you want this late in the season. And great stats by some of the players that are on that conference list. And as we've said, potential's there. And hopefully they crack that playoffs this year, and it's going to give them a lot of confidence for their next 3 years as sophomores, juniors, and seniors.
Absolutely. We'll go over to men's volleyball right now, who began their season this past weekend, selected to finish third by the coaches of the conference in the preseason coaches poll. That's identical to where they finished last season, behind Elms and Endicott. But you watch this team and you see that they're kind of hungry, and they might really work hard enough to break through and get past that third and move into the championship match or whatever it may be. Obviously, you have to take it one step at a time. The matches this past weekend knocked off Polytechnic Institute of NYU and Emerson College. Then at the Emerson College tri-match, 3-0 wins for both of them. So, that's a good way to start your season. Unfortunately, they have a bit of a lapse now between games. That last one till the next one up on February 2nd. But that's a good positive to see Coach Stokes' crew come in and come away with a couple wins. First time in program history that they've started 2-0.
Yeah, you always want to be above the 8 ball. That's one of the things that we talk about in baseball is start off 1-0, start off 2-0. And it's so much easier to look at your record and say, oh, we're 2-0, instead of looking at your record and 1-1 or 0-2 and trying to get back to that 500 mark. So tremendous weekend for them. And this team returns a lot of good players from last year. This was a team that was very young last year and set a program win mark with 12, I believe, and they beat Elms in the regular season. Elms went on to win the conference championship and the tournament championship. And this men's volleyball team beat them last year in the regular season. So there's a ton of talent on this team. They brought in a lot of good players, and I'm looking forward to them having a home game so I can see this team play.
Yeah, unfortunately, they only have a handful of home matches. A lot on the road, a couple tournaments there. So the opportunities to see them in Bennington are going to be few and far between. So make sure, folks, that you look at the schedules on svcathletics.com and make sure to get to those matches. This past weekend, they didn't play without one of their more experienced guys, and Anthony Ayala, ace, if you will. But they had other guys step up. Hurston Canta had an amazing weekend. Let's find his numbers here real quick. His hitting percentage was .368, only 2 errors on 19 attempts, and that's a setter.
Yeah, I talked a little bit with Josh today, Josh Stokes that is, about how Hurston played, and he just said Hurston played one of his best games of his career. Last year he was a freshman and was setting behind Ace, and he took the reins over this weekend. He had to because of an injury to Ace, and he played very well. Averaged 18 assists in the 2 matches, so it's a great weekend for him.
Yeah, 18 assists and 5 digs across those 2 matches. Someone else that I think might be noteworthy to highlight is Joey Dighton, the reigning NECC Rookie of the Year. Sophomore coming in, seen him working hard in the gym all year, all fall into the winter. The match against Polytechnic Institute, 9 hitting attempts, 0 errors, 9 kills. Perfection. You don't get better than that.
That's impressive. That is very impressive.
And then he goes up against a strong Emerson team, only 7 kills and 3 errors on 13 attempts. Still good enough for a .308 percentage. So, already he's hitting .591, and teams look at that and they say, sophomores hitting .591? Like, come on. This team's something to be reckoned with.
Yeah, and I think this team speaks a lot of what the basketball teams can be. Bringing this full circle is, this is a team that a lot of freshmen had to play last year. Hurston had to play a lot last year. Joey Dighton had to play a lot last year. You talk about Anthony Barahona, one of their better outsides, had to play a lot as a freshman, now as a junior. And you just go on with this whole men's volleyball team. Well, these guys matured, and these aren't just good sophomore players; they're mature sophomore players. So I think that's what's going to help them this year. Is they had so much experience as freshmen that they're going to have pretty good sophomore seasons.
Certainly, and we wish the best for them, and we have to wait till next week to see if they can keep producing, and there's no reason to see why they won't. So, as I mentioned to someone earlier, Dave, today, that I might have jinxed this. I think it might have been last week, where I was outside and it was pretty nice out, considering for middle of January in Vermont, and I said something to the effect of, spring and baseball/softball are right around the corner. And then, of course, we hit this cold spell. You can't walk outside without your face freezing. But believe it or not, baseball is right around the corner, and you guys are actually starting practices pretty soon. So we're going to actually have a special guest on the phone right here in a quick sec on SVC Sports Weekly, and we'll talk a little bit about, you mentioned going out to California, and you're lucky enough to do that. So before we leave, we do have to mention men's and women's basketball here on Saturday afternoon, when they host NECC foe Daniel Webster College. The women are at 1, the men are at 3. We hope to see you there, and we'll be right back here on SVC Sports Weekly. Welcome back to SVC Sports Weekly, ladies and gentlemen. On the phone right now, we have a special guest, Connor Murray, who is out in Palm Springs, California, participating in the California Winter League, a developmental league which kind of exposes young players to pro scouts and the like, trying to get them signed to go play pro ball. Connor, how are you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. How about yourself, Blake?
We're doing great. Probably a little chillier than you are, I'm guessing.
A little bit, yeah. It's about 75 and sunny here right now.
75 and sunny. That's tough.
It's about 75 degrees warmer than here.
Maybe 72. I think it's 3 degrees out right now. So, Connor, you've already played a couple games for the Washington Blue Sox. How's it going so far?
Going pretty well so far. I got a good squad. I've seen action in 3 games so far. The first game, a little rough outing. Had to shake the nerves out, but I've done pretty well after that, too. So, can't complain. Everything's going really well so far.
Connor, talk about what has been the best experience, through the first 2 days was pro scout days. You've had a lot of experience with really good coaches, pro coaches. Just talk a little bit, take us through the whole process so far.
All right, the first 2 days were great. They had all the coaches out watching us, all the pitchers through bullpens, infield, outfield did their work. And these guys really, they know what they're talking about. They've been there before, so they gave us pointers on what to do, if they could correct our mechanics, they would. Any way they could help us out, they absolutely would do it in a heartbeat. I've already learned so much. I thought I knew everything about baseball, but I've learned way more than I already knew in the past. These coaches are just unbelievable at what they do, and I couldn't ask for anything more, to be honest. It's a pretty incredible experience so far.
All right, Connor, playing with and competing against pretty much mostly college players, college-age players, have you seen any sort of adjustment compared to playing at the D3 level here for SVC?
I have, actually. A lot of these kids there's a lot of D2, D3 kids, don't get me wrong. But, considering we're now in the wood bat league here, you have to make adjustments on multiple different aspects of the field. From the way you hit, to the way you pitch, to the way you field. There's a lot of difference between baseball at Southern Vermont College and the baseball here. The competition is great out here. Everybody's here for the same reason. We're all trying to get picked up and play at the next level. So it's die-hard competition, and everybody's fighting each day at a time to make it to the next level.
Do you find it easier to pitch against players who are using wood bats where they're not hitting it quite as far?
Absolutely, yeah. Wood bats definitely help the pitchers out. Ball doesn't go as far, they don't hit it as hard, and it really, really helps the pitchers out in this game.
Connor, why don't you talk a little bit, what do you think is the best experience that you had here at SVC that has helped you the most out in Palm Springs?
I'd say the best experience that I've had at SVC was probably how close I was with my team, because I've become extremely close with my team out here as well, and I've only been here for about a week. So, it's helped me on and off the field so much, because, a lot of players on my team out here already have pro experience, and they're looking to get, a better contract or whatever it may be. But definitely being close with your teammates is probably the best thing that I learned, because it can help you out in so many different ways, and I'm very thankful for that.
So, Connor, this league kind of wraps up in February, if I'm not mistaken. Do you have any plans or prospects for what's going to come after the California Winter League?
Well, keeping my fingers crossed, hopefully getting a contract somewhere. Keeping in contact with a independent ball coach in New York right now, and I've gained a couple guys' interest out here, so hopefully I can keep performing the way I am and hopefully come out with a contract at the end of the month.
Connor, I happened to notice a picture online of you and a certain individual. Would you like to mention upon that experience of meeting that former Major League star, and did he give you any tips? And if you want to drop names, then feel free.
Oh, yeah. So yesterday possibly could have been the greatest day of my life. I got to personally meet Roger Clemens, 7-time Cy Young winner, one of the greatest pitchers of all time. Yeah, he did. He gave us a speech before we went out and played. And basically, he's saying, don't give up on it. Whatever your heart says, you follow that, you will accomplish it. And basically, he was giving us a lot of information on the mental aspect of the game and how much goes into it. And from him being a pitcher and myself being a pitcher, it was really great to hear how he would read a batter as they approach the box, as they're in the box, as they leave the box. He gave me so much valuable information, and I'm forever thankful for meeting him because that's a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity.
How much different is it to pretty much focus solely on baseball from a day-to-day basis instead of worrying about going to class, doing your homework, getting the tuition bills paid, etc.?
Yep, it's great. I can't complain. I mean, my plan right now is to do this for a living, so I would not be against that at all because it's great. It's a lot of hard work, I'll tell you that. A lot more goes into it when it's potentially your job. There's a lot of aspects of it, but I would love to do it for the rest of my life. It would be the dream come true.
Connor, now you mentioned a little bit about how there's 4 or 5 players that already probably have pro experience on your team, and I know on the other teams there's some players as well. Talk a little bit about what it's like to be a guy who hasn't been signed yet and who has that dream of getting signed, and to be on the mound pitching against a guy who has had 2 or 3 years, or in some instances have made it to AAA already, and a couple of guys out there. Bring us to that, to that aspect of the mental side of things.
Yeah. It can work both ways. It's a great thing. It can be a confidence booster, and at the same time, you're facing a guy that played AAA baseball or independent ball somewhere else, and he gets a hit off you. You can't let yourself get down.
Mm-hmm.
He's been there, he's experienced, and you're, as myself, I'm the rookie to this right now. But at the same time, the catcher that I'm throwing to on my team has played independent ball for 3 years, and when I get out of an inning and he comes up to me and shakes my hand and he says, "Hey, you did a really good job out there. Great pitching." That's all the confidence in the world I need right there. So, it's great.
Yeah.
I love playing with them. I love playing against them.
Yeah, that's it.
The competition, I love it.
That having a catcher who's already played pro ball, that's got to help you a lot, I would say, right?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, he knows how to read the batters better than I do right now. He's been around it longer. He's calling the game. We're working together, and just his confidence. I pitch off of him, and it really, really makes everything really sound.
Now, you've mentioned that, you kind of have that maturity in that head where you want to get down on yourself, but you know that you can't because, if anything, it's going to put yourself in further of a hole and allow you to not play to your fullest potential. How hard is it to keep that maturity in that head? And, do you see other guys around the league who don't have quite that same mental aspect that you do, who are getting down on themselves and can't really put that last hit behind them?
Absolutely. There's plenty of those guys out there, whether it be this level or still the college level or even the next level. There's still those people. But they have to remember, I'm here for about a month and we play 20 games. I'm going to see a lot of innings. I can't get down on myself because it's not going to do any good for me. And all these players that have been up AAA, independent ball, they all know that. They all know they're going to get plenty of opportunities. But, they don't do so good one time. They go out there and they prove themselves the next time. And that's what it comes down to.
So how is the arm feeling so far going, moving from the cold Northeast all the way out to the West Coast and pitching pretty much every day?
The first day it felt great. It's a lot of games packed in, so I've had a little arm pain, but I had my first day off yesterday, so I'm feeling pretty fresh. I think I'm going to get a few innings in tomorrow, and the heat definitely helps out a lot. But I'm really looking forward to getting my arm in good shape and hopefully getting to the next level and keeping it in shape for a while. So.
Great. Connor, one last question for me here. Talk a little bit about Palm Springs and the town. And, it's good weather out there, as you said, but what else is there to do? And just talk about the town a little bit.
All right, yeah, Palm Springs is it's beautiful out here. You can't complain about the weather. We've had 75 to 82 degrees every day. I mean, today's the first day with clouds. I can't complain about that. But the town itself, beautiful town. It's a very wealthy area. There's a lot of restaurants and a lot of places to go out to eat, and it's great food, and it's a really lively atmosphere. And I would love to move here. To be honest, it's a great place to live. It's beautiful here.
And I'm sure you're loving all the fish tacos that you're eating out there.
Oh, fish tacos! I've had it 4 times in a week that I've been here, so I plan on having many more.
Connor, for any youngsters who might be listening to this program, what would be the one key piece of advice you would give them in order to get past the collegiate level to where you're at right now?
One piece of advice, absolutely. I would say most of the game definitely is mental. After listening to Roger Clemens and meeting him and talking to him, a lot of the game is mental, and you have to be able to keep your head. You can't get down on yourself. And no matter how bad a day goes, it's just a day, you know. Everybody has their bad days. Everybody has their good days. You know, you just got to keep your head and just keep on trying. You can't give up because you never know what could happen. I mean, I never thought I would be where I am right now, and it's a dream come true, and hopefully I can continue that. So that's definitely the advice that I would give.
Great, Connor. Well, we appreciate you coming on the line with us. You know, we're all rooting for you up here, and I'm sure down in Connecticut as well. And, you know, when you do make it to the majors, I'd say you're already a pro talking on the phone, so you already got that going for you. Again,
Thanks a lot.
You know, good luck with the rest of your endeavors, and we wish you well, and keep representing Southern Vermont College out there.
Thank you very much. I plan on it.
That was Connor Murray here on SVC Sports Weekly, calling all the way from Palm Springs, California. Dave, you were actually out there last week, got a chance to see him, and it's pretty neat that he's out there doing that.
Yeah, it's great for our program, great for our college. You know, Connor had a great week while I was out there, and just as a friend, as a former coach, you know, I'm just really proud of him and that he's getting an opportunity to live a dream. You know, that every kid 12 years old wants to play pro ball, and Connor's getting to do that. So really proud of him for that.
Absolutely, very neat. You can check out and follow Connor and how he's doing out there. The website is CaliforniaWinterLeague.com, and there you can see the Washington Blue Sox's schedule and all their statistics and see how Connor does through the remainder of his winter season. I'd like to once again thank you all for listening to SVC Sports Weekly. It's been fun having you. It's been fun discussing everything Mountaineer athletics, and we'll catch you next week. Go Mountaineers!